played it to a moderate degree of success in the jungle. YK can play it, Huiba can play it, maybe even Yo can play it. We'll have to see.
But TSM are willing to play for strategies that are a little bit more unconventional stuff that isn't necessarily played by a lot of these Eastern teams. TSM, they've been a big proprietor of that setup pickup, and now if they're banned away, I'm curious if they have anything left in the tank, or this is them running on fumes.
I mean, it's hard to say, right? They might have strategies prepared, they might have a couple of answers, but it's all about gameplay caliber. Dakun, I keep saying this, they might be the best team here. With that in mind, whatever your answers are, even though they might work against another team, they just might not work against Dakun. And that's something TSM have to keep in mind as well. Don't let a loss here, don't let even getting beat up here dissuade you from these picks that work for me. But we're looking too far ahead. Let's focus on this game. Main thing to keep in mind, I want to see Carlito want to engage. Even this Gragas would be acceptable.
DKG, on the other hand, are going to double back
Hey,
what we saw from them before.
If it ain't broke, right?
If it ain't broke. And not necessarily having to show too many of their cards as well.
Exactly. I think that's something very important to keep in mind. Now, I wouldn't say they were tested by SBTC yesterday, but they were forced to review some picks. And I think the Jax was a big one. And I think that's something they would have been happy to hide to playoffs if they could have.
Absolutely.
SBTC, yeah, they were forced to show their hand in game one against what was potentially a top team in their group. Now, DKG, I think they're happy, sticking with what works, not revealing a thing. And TSM, well, it looks like they're going to change things up quite a lot here. We're going to see a last pick AD and a Lulu pickup. You know what this tells me?
What does this tell you?
You're looking to set up for the Vayne, but you don't want to play Vayne into Varus. So what else? What else? Maybe a Jinx? But that doesn't look good against the dive that DKG have. So what's the pick here? It has to be a Vayne. But you lose lane. I couldn't tell you.
It is problematic because now if they are trying to set up for the Vayne, you're going to see stuff like that Nami show up and it's going to be disastrous.
Okay, it's a bit of a reach here. Yasuo, Gragas, bot lane, Lulu mid. I don't know.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. There's so many things still left unanswered. TSM could pivot out into any direction they want to try and go for at this point. If it does mean that Yasuo, which has been seeing a lot of play, which has been seeing a lot of regional play. Okay. There we go. That's that Varus Nami, a very powerful matchup against a lot of laners, especially Pat for Lulu.
You 100% cannot pick Vayne here. We saw what happened yesterday. The one game, the Team Secret, the one game that SEA won was with this Varus Nami against a Vayne Lulu. So Vayne is off the table. What is your answer here for TSM? Real quick as well. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, those who don't live in history are doomed to repeat it. TSM, it's gonna be a tough order. It's gonna be a tough call.
It is going to be a tough call. That Vayne might have seen its fair share of success in the regional leagues.
Yeah.
But now we're in the big stage. We're in Suntec Convention Center. As Horizon Cup goes underway, I just feel like this Jax, this Varus, this Nami, everything on Dakun Gaming, I don't think I could state enough how easy it is to deal with this Vayne.
Yeah, I mean, we'll break this down a little bit more in game when we have the visual to go along with it. But I like the idea here from TSM. I just think that the execution could, they could do better.
But this is a problem for TSM as well, because now Carlito is no longer going to have that engaged support.
Yeah,
he's on support duty. He's on the Lulu. How does this change things?
Well, I mean, he's not going to be able to engage. And once again, the burden of engage, it's going to come from Mike, Tatus, and Sunny. This three-man unit really needs to step up big. They need to make space for Petroni and Carlito to scale. We'll touch on that a little bit more in game. But I'm hyped to see Huiba back on this Jax.
Had an amazing game up against Kiro, zoning him out, being able to also find a triple kill for himself in the Dragon Pit. Yes. While all of that was happening, I don't know how one man can single-handedly kill 3 people while zoning out of 4 power. No one man should have all this power indeed. And just like that song, this has aged pretty well. Huiba is starting to perform just right up to our expectations. Let's see how this one's going to play out.
Yeah, I think Huiba definitely performing beyond our expectations, even I might say. We came into this saying TF might be the best jungler here.
Low expectations for Huiba.
I had very high. But that's the thing. I had extremely high expectations of Huiba, and he's surpassing them all. I think he came in here, he's popping off. He's showing that he is making a very real case to be the best player in the whole world.
So now if it's not Carlito, if he's not the primary playmaker, he's not the engaged that we need to see, who on TSM do we watch out for then?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. I
Is
think
it this Lee Sin? Is it the Lee Sin that was playmaking that first game?
They drafted themselves in the corner. That's the problem that I see here, right? We'll touch on that a little bit more because I want the visual representations. I want to describe it to you guys while you see Vayne Lulu get pummeled under their towel by Paris Nami yet again. We need to see it to really understand how brutal that is. But I think TSM, game 1, I like their draft. I think they could have made a couple of changes, but still the idea was there. Game 2, it feels like desperation to me.
Let's see what TSM has in store for us this game. With this Vayne Lulu, they're looking to play for that hyper carry, something similar to what we saw from the Senna in their matchup against Tri Gaming, but Dakun Gaming not willing to let up at all. They said, we are here to play, and what isn't broke, we don't have to fix. They're running it back for game number 2.
Fiora's banned, but Jackson functions the same way. Okay, this is what they're gonna do. Okay, it makes sense now. Now let's break this down. This is the idea that TSM had in mind. Now, Gragas is a champion which functions very well in a 1v2 scenario. Why is that? He has built-in sustain on his passive, and he has the barrels to farm way and far away. He can dash away if trouble ever comes his way. So they'll put this 1v2 situation in mid. Vayne can farm for free. They get to control both sides of the map because you have a 2v1 in mid lane. And Diana hates being in this scenario. She hates being not able to farm in melee. She has to farm in range. She's gonna get zoned out. It's a good play here for TSM, but now I need to see DKG respond to this.
And trust TSM to be the team to pull out these kind of strategies, to make these things work. And early on up against Dakun Gaming, I just feel like they have so much still left available to them that they are not concerned about this.
Exactly, and we do see Laneswap come back in here. I don't think he's in any trouble. There's not going to be a condemn available for Patroni. Now the thing is, even though they swap it back, even though the lane matchup is still going to be good for the Varus Nami, the problem is, mid lane is a short lane. You have less space to work with if you want to poke them out, if you want to zone them out, if you want to pressure them on the turret.
And susceptible to ganks from multiple sides.
Exactly, yeah. But still they're doing pretty well. So I think it's not a bad start from DKG's bottom lane. They lost a minute or two. I think they'll be a bit frustrated. We lost a minute of pummeling you onto the turret, but it's fine. We're back now.
And just looking to really get into that state of the game for TSM to be able to have damage on Patroni. The Ezreal wasn't the look they wanted to try and go for. Yeah. They need a bit of a change. This Vayne might be what they want, but at the same time, it's going to be difficult to get to that point. So up to win now. He's gone to base very quickly to pick up some new items.
Bit of a botched stun there from YK, but it's fine because he just wants to reset. Emo's here to help him do so. Now, I want to touch a little bit on this Vayne pick, right? Now, people might think Vayne and Ezra are pretty different champions because of the way they function. One wants to auto, one wants to throw spells. They're actually very similar in Wildrift. Why is that? Because both of these champions are hyper carries. You sacrifice your laning phase. You don't have a laning phase to try to carry your business.
Right, that's true. So not having a laning phase seems like something that TSM have recognized and are trying to resolve by bringing Patroni into the mid lane.
It seems to me like desperation, right? It just seems to me that we're not confident in taking these laning fights against you, and we just want to scale. We just want one miracle team fight, and just give us a win, please.
Interestingly enough, so far, we have been seeing a much slower tempo game. And so while that early aggression that Excalibur and TJ were hoping to see hasn't quite come to fruition, this is a TSM that looks calm, collected. I like this from this team.
I don't like it. I like to see them go a bit chaotic, send some chaotic energy in the game, get fights going.
That's never quite winning with you, Omo. If they play too slow, you say they're boring. If they play too fast, you say they're running it down.
I mean... There's a way to win. Just win the whole championship. I'll say you're a good team.
Okay. Results-based analysis.
Well,
out here for the casting
this game is this mid lane play has really slowed down the pace of the game a lot. Because when you're stuck on a side lane, what we do see is you will stack a wave, you crash the wave, and you dive on that wave. You can't do that on a mid lane, and that's keeping Patroni and Carlito safe. They're getting poked out a little bit, but that's okay. And with Patroni's farm, he's the richest person in the game right now.
So what happens once Rift Talent's available? We do see a little bit of pressure onto Mike, but he's probably going to get away. That Aqua Prison's not going to hold him in place for much longer.
Oh, nice little bit of damage. Worry about with the Sheen problem.
It's actually going to force Tetris respect this a little bit more, despite the fact that they were there first. DKG say, we call dibs, we're getting this ripped out and taking it away from you. Here we go. TSM start the engage. Chandis with a nice kick, isolates the single target and take down YK. tidal wave won't find much more presence. Yo's joining in now, but he's been knocked back by the Condemned. Nice lockdown to take down Petroni. That's that early game. Vayne, no damage, no health. He jumps back in, but Huiba secures it with the smite. There's still no kick available. And Mikey, he's tanking for Gragas, but not tanking this early game.
It's doomed. It's all over. Credit. It looked so good. Yet again, it's the same story as last game. It looked so good for TSM until it wasn't. And this is exactly what happens here. Yet again, look at the setup here. I love the decisiveness from Sun and exact same story.
Early game. It's no kick available. No by the Condemned. Nice lockdown to take down Petroni. That's that early game. Vayne, no damage, no health. He jumps back in, but Huiba secures it with the smite. There's still no kick available. And Mikey, he's tanking for Gragas, but not tanking this early game.
It's doomed. It's all over. Credit. It looked so good. Yet again, it's the same story as last game. It looked so good for TSM until it wasn't. And this is exactly what happens here. Yet again, look at the setup here. I love the decisiveness from Sunny and Tetris. That's what we talked about. I want to see TSM goaling. Go, go, go. Take the team fight. Don't be afraid. He did it. He did well. And what happens? Vayne's not a champion right now. Just look at Ferris.
So mechanically beautiful.
Yeah, it looked really good. It was good. Look at the damage. Vayne does not offer a single time. And one piercing arrow takes out half the health bars. It's nothing to give you. It's a bit of a rough game at this stage of the game. Which just sucks for TSM. No, it's just sad, right? Because they play well. They are playing well. It's just the draft is not allowing them to succeed. Because either they're scared, they're desperate, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe Scream results have screwed them from the draft.
And also the fact that Huiba got that Rift Herald, right? He was in a similar position on FPR before, but now with the Jax especially, so I feel like he's just going to get such a good time in the side lane, do whatever he wants. If they get this kill onto Sony, it's doomed. Like, he's just going to run down the Dragon lane.
Yeah, and it's very likely that that's going to happen as well, right? It's what we saw in the last game, and they're going to trade sides.
Tedis here with the response. YK gets the initial stun off, a lot of damage back over onto Tedis. He's coming in clutch. The rest of TSM fully supporting this endeavor, but only one kill to be found here.
Yeah, and look at this. Rift Herald has not been popped. You get the kill as TSM, but the response from DKG, they just stop you from pushing. You are not able to get a single turret. You invest everything, and you get a kill. What did DKG get? A turret for free? And they still have the Rift Herald. They didn't even need to use that credit.
Let's take a look back on how this was set up. Initially, a little bit of a miscommunication. Both ultimates expended at the same time, and that causes Song away from this. Thankfully, Carlito's in here to save his jungler.
He got bounced 3 times.
That could have been much worse.
Could have been much worse indeed. I completely agree with you there. I mean, there is one thing Ruby can do very well in the context of answering DKG's team comp, and that is Polymorph is really broken against Riven, Diana, and Jax. In addition to that, Wildrift is also really good against Jax and Diana. So those 2 factors make the Lulu a good pick here. The problem is paired with Vayne, she can't do much.
Naku Game just doing such a great job of rotating around the map. They've broken open the Dragon lane turret, they've broken open the Baron lane turret, mid lane turret broken open as well. All the auto tier turrets gone.
Quick side note, let's just segue away really quickly. What I would have liked to see from TSM here, if they were planning for this draft again, it would be an Olaf draft. I think that solves a lot of their problems. Olaf does amazing into all 3 of DKG's champions at the top side. It runs down Varus and Nami as well. And I think an Olaf pick here could have changed the game for TSM. Unfortunately, that's not the case.
Let's see how much this matters. Nice flash away from Mike. Huiba won't be able to catch up with his own flash. Head is coming in now. This Rift Herald is going to find them a little bit more pressure, but the rest of DKG he won't be here as TSM take it down.
Well, TSM take down the Rift Herald, they saved their tier 3 turret, and I think that was a bit ambitious there for DKG. They didn't secure Prior, they didn't secure the kill. They tried to force it too hard, and they wasted the Rift Herald.
But TSM still on their fighting stance, they're still on their feet, looking to try and make a play, to turn things around. Sony's gonna get caught out. Loses a lot of health quickly, but Tennis comes in, buys enough time, and now it's DKG. They're on the run because you watch out Petroni. He's picked up the Wild Growth. He's coming in here with enough damage to pose a threat, but Huiba doing a fantastic job. Talk about zoning, talk about Huiba. He is textbook perfection in the way he plays out these fights. Petroni finds no impact. DKG with 3.
Granted, it's just so heartbreaking for TSM because they start things off well every single time. Every fight, every early game, TSM look good. Now, when you get into the mid game, when you get into the fight, in this X replay, take a look at how well it started. It looked doomed, but TSM, they turned it around with some good mechanics. The problem is, they stacked the flash, they stacked the wild drone. Petroni wants more, he smells blood. You have to remember, you're playing what is potentially the best team in the world. You cannot make a misstep. He gets greedy, he gets too ambitious, he gets punished. Once again, DKG give them an inch, and they take not just a mile, I don't know, they take like 20 miles or something like that.
They take 3 turns.
They take 3 turns.
Huiba's gonna get a nice pick off on the Tetris there. A little bit of backup from Mike, but I don't think there's much to be found there. DKG will just be content.
Call him Jeff Bezos right now.
He's rich, he's 5 digits. He's 5 figures.
This is like the gap between a billionaire and a millionaire, you know, something along those lines. It's just insane. Huiba on his jacks. I don't know what to tell you here, Grant. He's gonna run the game. He already is running the game.
Absolutely.
100% kill participation on a Jax jungle that wants to farm.
We've seen a lot of different looks from these teams, right? Teams that like to play around the Baron lane, teams that like to play around the mid lane. Junglers, a little bit less love, but with Huiba, the way he's been playing it out, I think we could very well start to see a move towards this jungle focus.
He's an innovator for sure. I think he might even be the progenitor of this jungle style that we see teams play very heavily around here. Now we'll have to see how teams adapt as the tournament progresses, as playoffs approaches. We're still a bit far off, but I would like to see more teams play around.
And this, in our preparation, we were discussing Huiba. You were mentioning that this is not his preferred playstyle. This is something that he's brought in new for the Horizon Cup, but his preferred playstyle is to deny the enemy jungler and not let him do anything at all.
Well, he did show that, right? He did show that on the Graves yesterday, and that's something he's more than capable of doing. It's just, why do I need to come counter jungler when I can get 6 items in one shot, right? So I think he's more than capable of doing both. Get you a jungler that can do it all, do it both, and that's Huiba. I mean, he's good.
Looking for a pick off, maybe trying to take down YK.
Yeah,
he has been the target of focus for TSM time and time again, but DKG this time around will come up ahead.
Get you a partner like Huiba who takes care of your every need, who carries you when you're down. I mean, what's that to really say? You try to dive YK, Huiba's waiting in the wings. You can't look away from this guy. You can't take your eyes off him. He's my MVP so far for the 2 days that we've seen. He's amazing.
Definitely one of the discussion pieces for best player in this competition, one of the MVPs for the competition.
Oh, I don't think there's any discussion to be had. From what we've seen so far, there's no discussion to be had.
Let's see if DKG can hold on to their mantle.
Yeah.
And maybe start pushing for the title of the best team in the world. TSM are going to be another step in their way, but TSM, they are also looking to turn things around.
Yeah, I mean, what can they really do right now?
Team fight. That's what they're known for. That's what they have to try and aim for. Looking to try and displace the waves. That Rift Herald is going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, the Rift Herald's coming in, and we saw what happened with the last one.
If that pickoff caught them, they might have just seen DKG push in to end the game. Wynn's going to get caught off. TSM might just have a team fight entry and go back in it. Nice kick for Tennis, and suddenly things don't look so straightforward, not so clear cut. But Yo's going to buy so much time, take down a majority of the backline of TSM, put them so low. Petroni's coming in now. This Exhaust is going to reduce a lot of his damage. But YK joining into the fight means TSM have to get back to base.
Brandon Petroni is so aggressive. How does he walk around like that? This man, he runs into 3 people. He dashes, he tumbles into a ribbon, and he just heals and flashes and gets out. He says, I'm good.
Even as this fight starts, it starts with Petroni coming in here, looking to take down Yo, finding a couple of auto attacks.
Great condemn.
And getting the condemn on the way, but sets up for his team. They were able to buy for enough time. Sony's just a little bit too unfortunate there. Gets over the wall, but still dies in the end.
Yeah, look at this here from Petroni. I mean, this is just amazing, right? He tumbles in, he heals, he flashes, he gets out of 4 members of DKG. The fights don't stop.
TSM comes back in. They're contesting for this blue buff. They say, this is our jungle. Hand it back over to us. Petroni looking for the catch on the YK, but the tidal wave's going to force them back, rout them once again.
Look, Brandon, 5 members there to try to kill Huiba, and he just jumps out to safety.
And Huiba gets out. Being TSM have committed 4 ultimates, summoner spells on top of that, as this Baron spawns.
Yeah, imagine if he had a real weapon.
All right. I don't know what to do with you anymore. I don't even know if people get that reference.
I'm sure they do, right? I'm sure Jack says it all the time still. It's so annoying, but it really gets the message across.
Absolutely. Baron available for DKG is also a message, I think.
Do you remember in the last series when we were talking about Rentel on Camille and how he had 3 items, he can't die anymore, things along those lines?
Sure.
Let's look at Huiba. He's got 4 items on an even earlier timer. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely, will never die anymore.
Absolutely will never die, and he has 2 damage items on top of that. You know what? He even says, I don't need a Zhonya's. You know what I need? I need more access to your backline. I just want to kill you guys. I'm getting a proto belt.
Does this start to mean that Group A is going to be about DKG, about Dakun Gaming's dominance over this group?
Well, it's not just that, right? Who else did we see that's dominant? It was Roster Y today. I want to look towards this matchup, and I want to say that the winner of that matchup might win the whole thing.
All right, but let's not get ahead of ourselves because TSM still have a fighting chance. That last breath in them is Yo looking for the engaging, barely clips it down Sony. Pulls the Renekton back into a seat. DKG find the first pick off. That's emboldened them. They're looking for a little bit more, looking to chase them down, but TSM back off, and so DKG go for the Baron instead.
Yeah, and that's a bit of the Unero syndrome right there, where you get offered up as a sacrificial lamb. Your team has to make it out alive. It's that scene in the movie where you say, go on.
No Baron.
Yeah, no Baron. I mean,
they don't want
it. I think at this point, they can take anything.
Wave out with his 4 items is looking to make a statement, making a statement piece. TSM, we'll see Tethys fall. He gets the kickoff. But where's he supposed to go?
No, they messed up. Tethys wanted to kick Huiba into his team, but Petroni wanted to condemn him against the wall. Not on the same page means they end up kicking Huiba away, and Tethys pays with his life. They get the Baron, and I mean, it looks to me like it's lights out for TSM here.
Let's see what happens here. I didn't quite catch that. Let's actually see if he does end up using that condemn as well as
so
the
how
kick.
this happens, he goes to flash behind him, and away, and then he ends up kicking him away. So a bit of a bouncy castle,
right?
Not in the right direction.
Not in the right way, not in a good way.
Not in a good way, yeah.
If it was just half a second after, could have seen a difference. But that's Baron gone while we're taking a look at that replay. DKG are closing this one out in such good fashion as well. TSM gave us a good showing that first game, but against DKG's full force, it just doesn't seem like there's much to be said.
Yeah, and I want to drive home the point right now that Vayne as a champion is just too niche, too much time. And here we go.
Yo pulls the trigger. He's gone under the Nexus. He doesn't care about anything else. TSM, that's making a statement piece. They're using your name to win this game out. A little bit more damage. Petroni comes online looking for the auto attacks. The Polymorph will stop Huiba, but stop it for how long? He's going to reposition, and TSM hold on for one more fight.
Honestly, despite the fact that I just criticized them if they were playing against any other team, not called Dakun Gaming, this Vayne Lulu combo might have taken over by now. I think Petroni is playing extremely well. I think Carlito is playing really well as well with the buffs and with the wild throw, with the Polymorph. I think he's doing his job for sure. And I think that the way that Petroni has been navigating these team fights has been very impressive. His timings, his dodging of spells, his knowing of when he can go in and when he has to pull back out. I think it's brilliant from him. But the problem is Dakun, Huiba, the rest of them all, they're just too good. Now Rambo best give up for Huiba, he's never gonna die.
They get a catch off, taking down Mike first. Someone's gonna lose a good amount of health as well. Petroni's coming in, but has been caught out by the corrupting chains. And Stasis will only buy you time. But there's not enough gold in the world to keep you safe for Dakun Gaming as they take down the Nexus 2-0 in